Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to explain print culture and the modern world, and also I'm going to discuss some probable questions for the upcoming board exam. So listen to this video till the end. So first let us see from where the print came. Print culture, printing technique was first introduced in China. The earliest kind of print technology was developed in China, Japan and Korea. The first printed printed book came in China in the year 594 CE. So you have to remember this date, important for MCQ. Then the Chinese system of hand printing. This was a system of hand printing. Yeah. So the early books were the hand printed, handmade books. Books in China were printed by rubbing the paper against the ink surface of wood block, that was known as wood block print culture, wood block print technique. China was the major producer of printed materials, and Shanghai became the hub of new print culture. And the hand printed print books were not only expensive but also um, not very much available in the market because it required required a lot of time, and books only could be afforded by those who were royal people and the rich people, particularly because the books were expensive, and those books were the symbol of status. And as a result of this, the books were crafted with beautiful designs and patterns. The skilled craftsman could duplicate with remarkable accuracy and the different style of writing, and that was known as calligraphy. The art of beautiful handwriting is known as calligraphy. So the books were designed very nicely. So you have to learn what is accordion book. Accordion books were the early books that were introduced, and all those books had the beautiful designs, and those books were crafted by the craftsmen with beautiful designs and patterns and calligraphy. So from China, with the Buddhist monk, print came to Japan, and the first printed book in Japan was Japanese Buddhist book. It was a Buddhist book named as the Diamond Sutra. So Diamond Sutra was printed in the year 868 AD. So this is also an important question for MCQ. 868 AD, the first Japanese Buddhist book, Diamond Sutra, came into existence. Later on, the woodblock print technique was used for many other things, for printing on paper, playing cards, for paper currency, and woodblock print technique was also used in making beautiful designs on clothes. So eventually, uh, woodblock print technique became very popular in Japan, and Japan is capital, the present capital of Japan. What is the capital of Japan? Japan's capital was that time known as Edo. It's Tokyo. Tokyo, the present Tokyo, was at that time called as named as Edo. Edo became a hub of printed materials. Then from Japan, woodblock print culture is to Europe. In medieval Japan, poems, prose were written regularly and published, and books as a result of this were cheap and abundant, and many printed technique was also introduced in Japan. Okay, so in this connection you have to remember, you have to underline Kitagawa Otamaro. Kitagawa Otamaro introduced a particular technique of woodblock printing that was known as ukiyo. So this is also important for MCQ. Now let us see, how did print come to Europe. Marco Polo, an Italian explorer, spent many years in China and mastered woodblock print culture. Marco Polo was an explorer. He used to visit from one country to another country. So he was there in China for quite some time for his exploration work, and as a result of this, he mastered the woodblock print culture. So after spending so many years in China, when he returned to his country, Italy, in the year 1295, he brought back with him woodblock printing technology. So woodblock printing technology became popular in Europe also. So you can see woodblock printing is a technique of printing text, images, or patterns, not only on paper but also on fabrics. Then, as the demand increased, the new technology evolved. So, woodblock print culture, woodblock print technique could increase the demand of printed books. And after that, what happened? There was a huge demand for printed materials in Europe, and as a result of this, the booksellers had to keep under them 40, 50 scribes. Scribes were the expert handwriters under them in order to fulfill the rising demand of books. So, in that circumstance, when the demand for the printed books and printed materials um, was very high, so the new technology came into existence, and the new technology was evolved in Germany. So, Johann Gutenberg, you can see in the picture, Johannes Gutenberg was a German inventor and craftsman who introduced letterpress printing to Europe with his movable type printing press. So Gutenberg's printing press was not a mechanical, it was a movable type printing press. It was manual. So though it used to take a lot of time, but that at that point of time it was a revolution because it made the printing process much faster. So Gutenberg's printing press was a revolution. Gutenberg introduced that printing press in the year 1430, and he perfected it in the year 1448. So these dates you have to remember. So Gutenberg, since his childhood, he saw his father working in olive presses. He was a goldsmith, so he knew that his father was a goldsmith, and see, he grew up. So from his childhood only, he knew how to draw different pattern on the metals, and as a result of this, when he grew, he could he could invent a printing press, and the letter types, letters, he could make the letters with the metals. So Gutenberg's printing press was a revolution, and the first thing Gutenberg did was the printing of Bible. So Bible he printed 180 copies he printed, and after that, there was a widespread demand of other books, and the books started flooding the European markets from 220 to 200 million. It increased within a span of uh, only 100 years, from 1440 to 1550. Such a dramatic or a drastic change in the uh, print culture is referred to as print revolution. So print revolution is very important. What is print revolution, and what are the impacts of print revolution in Europe? What happened as a result of the print revolution is a probable 3 markers question. So what are the important points you can write in that? As a result of that print revolution, books became cheap. Then slowly further technological innovation took place, and that increased the number of books in the market. The price of books reduced, and as a result of this, now ordinary people could also afford the books, which consequently reduced illiteracy, and that opened the mind of the people. Books flooded the market, reaching out an ever-growing readership. And earlier, the people, those who used to listen orally, okay, because people didn't know how to read and write. So, in any religious occasion, in a tavern, people used to travel. People used to gather during the occasion of any religious festival, and they used to listen from all those nobles and those who were the literate people, many religious topics or some other things, news, periodicals. So they used to listen. The most of the people were illiterate. So they were the listening public. So after the print culture came into existence, printing press came into existence, the listening public converted into reading public. So that is an important point you can write as an impact of print culture. Knowledge was transferred orally prior to the coming up of printing press. When printing press came later on, the knowledge, you know, people started reading the book. So listening public converted into reading public. And social reform, society started reforming. Old traditional belief uh, converted into the modern concept of democracy, and we can see French Revolution. In case of French Revolution, also political philosophers played a very important role. Rousseau, Montesquieu, John Locke, Voltaire, they gave their ideas through the books, and people, as a result of this, they took charge against their ruler and they changed the system. So social reform happened as a result of the print culture or the printed materials. And you can see European society uh, very rapidly started approaching towards the modern period, and societies reformed, nation states came into existence. So these are the outcomes of the printing press. And in Germany, in case of Germany, we can see that so Reformation movement started after the innovation of print culture. Protestant revolution started in Germany with the leadership of Martin Luther. He challenged the traditional belief or the orthodoxy of Roman Catholic churches, and he openly challenged the Roman Catholic churches. Bible was translated into German language. New Testament was printed in German language, and as a result of this, ordinary people, came to know the original context of the Bible, and as a result of this, they, changed. Their mindset changed. Earlier, they were only the listeners were the church and the king told. They used to listen blindly, but after the coming up of the printed materials, they started thinking logically. They started arguing. They started asking questions. They were not going to believe anyone just blindly. So these were the changes that took place in European society, and not only like only those who were the well-to-do people uh, started reading. Even the meal workers also took initiative in printing the books or translating the books. In this regard, I can refer the name of Manaccio. He was a miller in Italy who reinterpreted the message of Bible. Actually, Bible was misinterpreted prior to the coming up of printing press. Bible was misinterpreted, and okay, and so when people went through the original Bible, and uh, they came to know what was truth, what was uh, false. So they started reinterpreting the Bible in their own language, and as a result of this, Roman Catholic Church was humiliated. They started giving punishment to those who wrote anything against them. So that uh, that happened. All not all people welcomed print or the printed materials. Everyone didn't like the printed materials. Many referred the printed books and the printed materials as cheap vulgarity. According to them, those books, cheap books, were of no use. It was waste. So this is how printed changed the society, and it brought revolution in countries, and social reform took place as a result of the printing press. Okay, so in this chapter, in this part, the first part of this chapter is print in Europe, and the second chapter is print in India. So today I'm going to give only about the print in Europe, otherwise it will be too long. So in my next video I'll definitely tell you about the print in India. So from this first part you have to learn all those important points, like how uh, print culture helped in revolutionary modernizing the society, and about the Protestant movement of Martin Luther. For 2 to 3 months these topics are important. And you know, when print came, that uh, um, not only men, women also came forward and they started writing books. In this connection you must have to remember the name of Bronte's sister, Jane Austen, George Eliot. These were the frontline women writers in Europe, and their writings are even till today uh, very popular. They are the best sellers. So you have to learn about it. And uh, like cylindrical press was developed by mm Richard M. Hoe. Richard M. Hoe cylindrical press was a mechanical press, and that could print 8,000 copies, 8,000 copies uh, per hour. So that was a that was a big achievement. And after that, print culture flourished and books became very cheap. And on the streets of the London, France, the cheap books were sold by the peddlers. In Britain, those books were known as chapbooks, and in France, those books were known as bibliothèque blue. Those books were cheap books, cheap materials were there. So no matter, content was the same. So ordinary people could afford it, and as a result of this, what happened? The people developed, people came forward, their mindset was changed, and that brought changes. Thank you. Thanks a lot.